I am excited today to be joined by Seok. Seok, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Seok Kang, professor of communication, and also I'm leading the digital initiatives in the College of Liberal and Fine Arts at UTSA. I'm teaching mainly digital communication from theory to practice, production with web development and other video production, as well as digital media theories for research in multiple digital domains. So glad to be here.
Excellent. So, what do students need to know about AI? Because I know this topic is changing all the time. What do students need to know now about AI?
Yes, I mean, this is really fully transformational. As you can see that now still we are in the beginning phase of AI. AI is all about computer and human interaction, and then computers provide answers with its own intelligence, right? And then now, mainly the biggest transformation for now, generative AI, because that gives us more access. Meaning, I mean, kind of in the kind of near past, only like some professionals like doctors or government employees or businesses, they were able to use them more easily. But now, with the ChatGPT, for example, I mean, everyone can access. That's the point. Everyone can access now, accessibility. So you, all students and all the public, you can access and use it. That's the biggest paradigmatic change in AI development. So now we are expecting unpredictable future, meaning so many things will happen. We never know. So many products, so many services, just like the internet boom in the all the two. I mean, I think that will be more than that. This will be more than that. So now, all students, you need to know. I mean, don't worry about all the back end side of the technology, like how it was programmed. It is not something about you are manufacturing video cameras, right? You are using video cameras to create so many things. It's the same way. Now, all the AI tools, services, platforms, and products, you use them, and then how they play out, that's the point.
How do they play out, and what do students need to know in terms of frameworks for approaching these powerful AI models?
Yes. I would say there are three components. They are issues, use, and impact. So first of all, let's just give you an example like with ChatGPT and Bard. So use ChatGPT for many purposes. I mean, for educational purposes, professional purposes, and learning and interaction and knowledge gain. What philosophical, what historical issues. So a lot of issues. For example, bias, misinformation, disinformation, harm, also benefits. I mean, there are a lot of benefits, right? You use that, you learn. So those are main issues. What issues you need to know regarding this generative AI tools available. Now you can see that recently, even a few weeks ago, there is a new store, GPT store. The GPT store now is experiencing a flood of new products. They say about like 200K or 300K even within 2 weeks. The new products are. So, for example, like you upload your essay, and then its output is a nice PowerPoint slides, and its output is a nice voice, which is a TTV, text to voice, or like text to speech, okay, and even text to video. And you put a kind of, in my case, if I just post one research article that I wrote, and then it'll come up with a nice PowerPoint slides with all that well organized, things like that. I mean, smart, isn't it? And now the thing you need to know, they are getting smarter, and smarter. For example, the deepfake, we have a kind of negative connotations on deepfakes. Like, it can be misinformed, it can misinform people, and it can create like fake news. I mean, it happens, these days, even like surrounding the presidential election, and even celebrities, right? They didn't tell that, but actually the deepfake told it, right? Something like that. But using those like 5 years ago, it was so clumsy. It was not that really well, refined output. But now it's so real these days, meaning it will be more smarter. So let's just approach this in a beneficial way, positive way, how we can use this smart advancement for the benefit of a society, not for all the bad, purposes. So those are issues. Second one, the second step is use. How people use, and then who the users are. There are so many users, like from higher education and higher income through like low income, underserved population. So because of that, some digital divide, we call it AI divide, can happen. So some are more informed, some are less informed because of generative AI use. There can be user discrepancies and user disparities and user asymmetries, meaning that divide can cause some social issues, social problems. Because of that disadvantage, they are left out, and then they can be behind in this development of AI and in use. And then what in terms of use, what motivations do they have? I mean, this is a very, very important point. What internal motivation are they really receiving rewards from the use? And then their internal reward, I learn, right? And I gain knowledge. And also I interact with others, and then I am better maybe than others in that capacity, in that knowledge. That's your internal motivation. And then external motivation, like extrinsic motivation, for example, say you are inspired by others, those who role models or the experts. They use generative AI for many good purposes. So you are inspired by it. That's kind of motivation. Once you are motivated, you can be mobilized for some action, which can be a social cause, some good meaning, but in some other way, it can be some negative action. Some can follow. That leads to the impact of generative AI. Still, it is a bit early because now we are in the early adoption stage of generative AI. Is not all of us use, only some use, some even don't know what that is. Some know very well, right? So there are some discrepancies. So still kind of early to prejudge that there are strong impacts now, but it will come very soon. So impact means the result of use. So you use so many AI tools, generative AI tools, from the video creation tools to text creation tools, voice creation tools. You use that like a well-known celebrity's voice. You create it using that Gen AI tool, and then you use it for maybe some learning about history, but learning about something good. But it can be used for really some malicious purposes. So all of them, what impact, what influence it has on the users. Say, can it change the result of election because of that, strong deepfake? Can it change consumers' intention to purchase some products? How about social campaigns? Can it really lead to action, some positive actions for a social cause, for social campaigns? Those are all impacts we can think of. Impact means we can develop and we can come up with better policies, which can lead to, which can provide the government or any other governing bodies in terms of governance, in terms of policies, and then better, which means improvements. We can improve with these. So I want to emphasize this now. Innovation now, generative AI, will be like coming into the market, like a flooding into that now. That will have those issues, and then the uses, and then impact and improvement. So think about the steps, and then how we can approach those, and then what benefits we can get from by viewing this phenomenon, this change now in terms of generative AI. So, but don't forget, there are always AI divide. So we as intellectuals and then also leaders in this technology, we try to close the gap. We try to narrow the gap so we can pay more attention to disadvantaged populations and underserved populations for their learning. And also another point is public engagement. How then this important technology can enhance public engagement in our community. So some shared interest and shared thoughts and shared ideas, how can it be implemented for the good of the community? Then now, these tools, because these generative AI tools are so powerful and getting powerful, they can play that role here. So yeah, all of them can be used for those purposes.
And issues, use, impacts, that is a lot for a student to wrap their heads around. Let's zoom in to one of these and let's ask the question, what do students need to know to be able to use these effectively now? For example, I know prompt engineering was a skill that was celebrated, and as these models get better, you don't have to be as good a prompt engineer or know as much about the tool to be able to use the tool. So students who are graduating be required to use these tools even without the foundational knowledge of prompt engineering. And in many cases, they'll be successful in doing so because the tools are adapting to us to a certain extent.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for students who are trying to wrap their head around what they need to do to get to use these tools effectively?
Yeah. First of all, you need to set your proactive attitude toward this, toward generative AI, because there are so many innovative tools that you can use for your needs. For example, like I mentioned, the image processing, text to speech and text to video and voice, and using a large language model, and also video processing, chatbot, and even a personal assistant. And now they are also related to highly like arts, a lot of new ideas of arts, and also music, huge, and even gaming, history, philosophy, better communication. So in this capacity, one key term I want to emphasize is storytelling. Okay, so that's something that you can use for the benefit and with these tools. How can you really tell a story better with these? So now you want to create like a video, and then you need some images that indicate like 100 years ago some other incidents or some events. Then if they are not available, then now here AI tools can be used, which can enhance your storytelling. And it's something about history, something about location, and also something about economies, politics, government, business, and tourism. I mean, say you have a lot, kind of some good places to go, and then you just want to have tell a better story. And these tools can be used unlimitedly. I mean, like with a lot of creative ways. So proactively use them, but try to be a good judge in the authenticity of the information there. Okay, so I mean, for entertainment, it may be used in some way, but it should be always authentic. The information should be accurate, and try to check them. So that's the one thing that needs to be resolved here in this path to the Gen AI era. So all the professionals and the industries and other experts need to work on that together by finding out, some disinformation and misinformation, but still proactively use all of them. And these tools will converge more and then getting more powerful. And now say, not only just the communication through here, the computer interface, the monitors, but it can be used in many social sectors, like or many other devices or other equipment. For example, vehicles. Vehicles will be equipped with all AI technology, Gen AI, for better safety. Think about sports. Huge that the sports, the athletes can use them, and also the professionals, the sports companies can use them, and also we can learn more about sports using Gen AI. And very importantly, another one is health, Gen AI for health. Like in our case, we are not medical doctors, so we are not able to access maybe all the patient information. But now, how then these tools can improve our mental health? So you can use that using these tools, and then do all the kind of better storytelling practice, and then that can really improve your mental health. I mean, through this practice and sharing that, and then we're working and learning, and then they can and contribute to better health. Yeah.
A lot of great outcomes discussed there, and a lot of different industries and touch points for AI. What can a student do today to help themselves to be prepared for making themselves known as an entrepreneur, or making themselves known to get hired for a career? How can they use these tools now so that they're not on the wrong side of that digital AI divide that you spoke about? What do they need to be focused on in order to be on the right side of that to get hired or to start their businesses?
Now, AI is an embracing term. So generative AI is a part of it, but AI overall is all about, that includes even robots, even other tools and all of them. And also data science is a very, very important part of AI. Using data, big data, we work on some machine learning. So we predict how to, what will happen. I mean, for example, say, what's going to be the weather tomorrow? If this patient is going to have, given the current record, this patient is going to have diabetes or not, that kind of access. Now, even just professionals like doctors can access only maybe, but now in the future, more and more will be available to the public. Now we can know all of them with these tools if we proactively work, which means that your AI competency, that's the point for your future career. You need to be AI competent. You need to be a good data handler. And then with all these tools, you know where to go, you know what to do to find answers, okay, to find some solutions, right? So that's why here in our classes, our projects aren't important, professional projects. I'm an advocate for the actual experience, so experiential learning. I mean, sitting in the classroom and then just talking to each other, that's a good point, true, but that can be like a pre-action stage. So we learn some, and then we know what to do. We design it, and then next step, we go out, and then we do all of them using here all rich generative AI tools. Okay, we use all of them, and then find answers. That experience gives you competency. So our students now be a Gen AI expert or a Gen AI professional. So meaning that how to find answers and how to resolve some complexities, okay? And then also the issues we community face and then people face, then how we can find some answers through these. Without the experience, you are not able to know. So in our classes, for example, in our communication classes, we need to have those projects. It can be either individual project or group project. You need to have deliverables. You need to have outputs with your own original idea and design, development, implementation, and an outcome. That becomes your portfolio. I mean, so now I use these AI tools and I found these answers. So now I created as an outcome, which is a product. For example, it can be a video with all the AI image processing tools. It can be a kind of text-to-speech tool, AI tool, and then now you helped people with a disability, right? That's the point. See here, say people with some hearing impairment, and now you use this text-to-speech, the AI, Gen AI tools, and then you help them hear better or see better, and now your project that help them improve and enhance their lives. That's the outcome. So now you see that, how that Gen AI tools can be used for the benefit, right? So in my recent here, the example about the video marketing in my internship here, digital initiatives. So my student interns, they work for local nonprofits like some of the Red Cross or Children's Chorus, that kind of nonprofits, and then they constantly communicated with that organization, and they used the Gen AI to get some better ideas, right? ChatGPT and Bard, and then they also got some good storyline, right, through Gen AI, and then they came up with a really powerful and effective video, that can really promote that organization. So now, what did they do? I mean, our students, they communicated, in person with the organization. That's a good practice, and then they use the Gen AI to enhance their storyline, and then they come up with a fine video outcome, and then it is now everywhere, like on their social media pages, and also on their website, and even TVSA, San Antonio public television channel. It is now available because that is for a social cause, right? So really a positive influence, good influence using these tools. So that's the point now I'm emphasizing here again. As students, develop your competency in the generative AI domain. And then you should have a portfolio. And then say now, the employers, right? Employers that when they interview you, the students, say, what experience did you have using AI? So I did this, using these tools and these tools as from the beginning to the end. So now, if I get these some projects, the future projects, I can definitely handle, with the ease and then with the quality, And another very important point here is the teamwork. So always that, because of course now, we can do that individually, but in many cases we have to do it as a group. If we work together, how you can really nicely, work with your team members, and then you go through all the processes, and then finally all team members stay on the team, and then reach the final outcome, with the quality.
My students struggle with certain parts of generative AI. Some people, for example, are more reticent to try to use these kinds of tools because of data privacy concerns, because of just the intimidation of using a new tool. What are some of the challenges that you see? Like I see challenges around students being more reticent to use the tools, even when I have a very encouraging, want them to use them on their projects where they're creating plans for their nonprofits, for example, where they're actually creating things that they'll be able to use and execute on, ideas they can execute on with the help of generating ideas and getting feedback from generative AI. And other than that idea of not trusting the machine, what are some other challenges you see students struggling with most when they're using generative AI?
The first one is your exposure, how much you are exposed to those tools. So to use it wisely, you need to know them well. So more experience is needed. So the one challenge can be that experience, which also means that now newer, like maybe uncertified, unreliable tools are coming into the market, something that you should not use maybe, but they are really all available now. So you need to have that kind of a discerning kind of mindset, and to find which one can be better for you and not. Another important is, I would say, collective knowledge. So if you, in our misinformation and disinformation and harms and those side of studies in new technologies like even social media, that all the harms of social media here, and of course it has benefits. Same way here, the Gen AI is also creating those. We call that there's no magic bullet There's no one-shot solution. Say, okay, if you do only this thing, everything can be resolved. That's not going to happen. So, which means that we have to work together. So we have to monitor together and cross-check, even kind of rely on some other more reliable sources. So continuous work and constant work, and also your awareness of that. That is something can be part of improving the whole circumstance of using these tools. So our students, as a challenges, it is not easy to achieve. I mean, all of these things are ongoing, everlasting, but thing we can see is improvement. We can improve better. So as a professional, like let's say as a professional Gen AI expert, future expert, that's another important part of your job. Say, not only just you use it, you benefit from it, and then now you profit from it, okay? But also that is your responsibility. We call that responsible AI, accountable AI, transparent AI, without those biases. So continuous action and work and awareness is really strongly recommended. So I think that's what a professional should have as an important qualification.
And thinking about how these tools are in some cases displacing workers, that can lead to anxiety, especially for a student graduating or a new recent graduate who's about to get a job. But I think the way that you broke down how these tools are actually a part of the job, it's, I think, more comforting, because those who know how to use generative AI and know how to incorporate them into their jobs, into the fabric of what they do, will have an advantage over those that don't. You talk about emphasizing skills, technological skills, relational skills, all the skills that are required for strategic thinking and planning and critical thinking, they all relate and have to do with AI. What are some of the places where students can focus on to help them prepare for that inevitable future where we have AGI, or artificial general intelligence, where instead of 1,000 tools, we have just a few tools that will do these things that are multimodal, that will do things that probably are going to be much more faster and easier to get good results than what we have today? How can they best prepare for that world, since they're graduating soon? And we don't know exactly how soon that world's going to be here, because the rate at which the big names are progressing seems to be pretty fast right now.
I would not say this should be a big hurdle that you have to go over, you have to jump over. You should start with small things. Okay, let me give you one example here that in my recent research project, which is about American college student athletes, what factors actually influence their well-being. Well-being is about kind of mental well-being and their independence and their resilience, and how they can lead to athletic performance and an academic performance. So we did this study with another collaborator, and now I'm not, to be honest, I'm not like an AI engineer. I'm not like an AI computer scientist, but we can go from a small thing. So in this project, we analyzed some data. In addition to that, we collected their written responses, all the texts, okay, about their thoughts about athletic performance and academic performance. And then we just created some word cloud, okay? So word cloud, and so which means what includes in their responses when they think about academic performance and as student athletes. And also we were able to come up with some kind of a list of most frequently used words in their responses. What I mean is here that you need some kind of data science attitude to think about to be a professional. It also means now, I mean, here the digital interface is your teacher. I mean, is our teacher as well. So we can just teach ourselves through getting some. So go from kind of small things, but I know it can be challenging or not, but I don't think it is, because we have all the kind of demonstrations of instructions available. So I want our students to be experiencing some basic coding. That's not like a big thing. It's just like a Python and then R. I mean, go to YouTube. Okay, very straightforwardly, YouTube and say basics of Python, basics of just, you don't have to know all the coding at all. Just copy and paste. So for example, I just want to get a word cloud of these texts. Then it will tell you, okay, you copy this code, code paragraph, and then paste it and then run it. Then you will get that. And even you can use a ChatGPT to get the coding. It's easy now, right? You can definitely do that easily. You just copy and paste and say you come up with that, which means you don't need the coding knowledge at all. You just know all the steps to get to that answer. So that can give you also competency. And also I did that with another research project. And same way, you don't need that like a heavy side of coding knowledge at all. Just to copy and paste and then just kind of play with it. That can give you much higher competency. These kinds of preparation, can give you, and then pay attention to this. So you practice, but the practice doesn't mean that like it is coming from nowhere. The practice means you need to have a goal. You need to have a project. So I have this project, like in my class or for some professional project, I do have this, and now I need to get answers. So I got those answers, and then I need I want to add some more info here, which can be done with some basic word cloud coding simply. Then you just try it, and then this is how it works. And also in our classes we can cover that. So those kind of small skill sets. So that's the point here. You build your list of skill sets. These skill sets become the components of your competency. So you're just graduating at the end of this semester, or you're graduating next semester, but these small skill sets can build up for your more robust future career. So it's not challenging at all. I can tell you. I can tell you it's not just easy, just a step by step. So try them, and then I think definitely it will benefit you.
That's a huge benefit to have those kinds of skill sets. Let's zoom into one. And since you're an expert in digital communication, let's zoom into social media specifically. What are the specific steps that students need to do to use AI to build their social media presence? Where would you send them? Would you send them to ChatGPT? Would you send them to the Google version, the either Bard or Gemini Pro Ultra, whatever is out at the time that they're watching this? Where would you send them, and how would you craft the tasks needed to grow their account online with the help of AI?
I would say be more proactive in prompt engineering, and then do that, and then post some good ideas there, and then use these tools. And then I think you can share your project with your followers and then your social media friends there, and share these. I mean, the thing that you need to do is you can exploration. You have to explore a lot of these Gen AI tools. For example, image processing tools, and also text voice text to voice tools, and then text to speech tools, and video processing tools. I mean, they can give you a lot of creative ideas. I mean, just so you can try them, and then you you post it. But now I want to emphasize it here. You do this for a social cause, okay? Rather than for now as a student, it's not for some really commercial profit purposes, but here that how you are improving our communities, how you are making some positive changes in where you are, and also about those topics. So keep posting those, and then you can be also a generative AI ambassador. Say, you can just introduce, now here we come, here new product, which is so good for the use of some knowledge gain or for some your project. Like I gave you that one example, you just put one essay, upload it, and then it'll come up with a nice PowerPoint slides. Then that's really informative. Okay, so those are some examples I can tell you, and also you are working for those who are in need. So how your AI project can improve disabled people's lives, like some with some impairment and others, and then how they can you help them do better, and even another like some I would say like animals, like some about your pets, that could be good. Also about your family, that could be good, and some kind of easy topic that you can access, develop those, and find some better answers through these tools, and then share them. So, but your continuous activities will be really helpful. But now that can give you also more competition. You can become more competitive in that because you are experiencing those and then practicing those there. So post to them, okay? Post them rather than you just post like I had a party last night, rather than that, you just post all of these better that can really keep some positive influence on others.
So the steps are: first, create a goal or a focus specifically around a social good. Go to these tools and use these tools to brainstorm and create ideas. Generate those ideas and post those ideas, and then maybe evaluate those ideas and iterate again and repeat the process.
Right.
Say what worked, what didn't, how did it go?
Exactly. And then say also, post those deliverables.
And if we wanted to use AI for the specific purpose of not necessarily elevating a nonprofit, which is a noble and great goal, but for the specific purpose of making sure people know that we are experts and we have expertise that we've built in university, how might those steps differ? You would first brainstorm with generative AI. You would get some examples of your expertise and maybe feed it in for feedback. What might that process look like if our goal is to build our expertise in a specific domain or build authority for a specific subject so that we can get that job upon graduation?
Yeah. The point is here, completion. You have to complete, and you have to have a product here. So that can give you that strength. The product here means not only for a social cause, but it should have a strong message. Okay, that message can impact the community or those of interest. So I would say they can really they can work on these with a purpose, and then use those and put those messages into the product. So share the products, and not only the processes, but also the outcome. You share those outcomes, and then that outcome can give you a good story. So let's say, to one example about underserved populations, how they live regarding their mental health. Then we can also like a public engagement here. Then we work with them by using generative AI tools, like creating some images, creating some voices and videos, and then they learn, and then they know first of all, they know how to use these tools. Secondly, they know about some social topics they face here. And then after that, we can create a nice AI toolkit. So the toolkit can give a good profile of the project. So the toolkit can be posted on your website, even your blog page. If you are not hosting your own website, there could be many other ways to post your work. on social media pages, definitely, that the toolkit includes, if it is something about health, like public health of the community, then what issues there are in that small community, and then with that, what generative AI tools give us that information, and then what some videos and images and voices and audio can do regarding that, and then there can be a lot of other sources, source information, and also there can be a lot of resources you can include. And then there can be a lot of instructions you can include to get this information or to get this more, and you can use the following information or following instructions. And also, definitely there should be some evidence. The evidence means the actual voices from the users, like if they are community residents, then you can interview them, and also you can survey them. So that is a AI toolkit in multiple pages or one page that gives under that topic. So in the future, that those toolkits can be powerful, and those toolkits can lead to collaboration with other disciplines. For example, like some AI consortium, AI developers. Now, because we as users, also the project team members, we found here what benefited and what misinformation was found in this project, and then what fake information was found in this project, and then what these people trying to get, but actually they are not included. And even like say these people, like some ethnic groups or some community people, were actually misrepresented. I mean, in that Gen AI results, and then so we point out those in the toolkit, and then we provide that information to the AI engineers. Then these AI engineers, what they do, they can develop a better model, better, more improved AI model. So now this comes through the interdisciplinary work. Say, as here we students, we post that kind of experience, we post it, and then other AI engineers can view them, and maybe faculty can work together, and then so our work not only contributes to our own community or the topic, but also to kind of broader sectors of society. Then now, because we all know the concerns in a lot of people raise, bias, harms, and risks, right? It will improve. It will improve, because of our work here. So yeah, keep working on those, our students. You can do that, but now again, start with all exploration. You explore these tools and then try them, but not just like without purposes. I want you to have a goal. Say, I need to have this community, local community engagement project. In this engagement project, how can I improve their public health? How can I improve their mental health? How can I improve their well-being, right? And then say, to do it, you set those ideas, and then use those AI tools, and then finally you can have kind of better outcomes. So yeah, those are some good practices our students can do.
Excellent advice for our students. I wonder if you have some things that you've read or you researched recently that you'd like to share with our students to help prepare them. Because I know that as you're doing research in AI and you're reading all the new updates about AI, there are probably some things that are more important for students to know than other things. Do you have any insights to share around the things that you've been exposed to recently in your readings or in your research?
Yeah, in my recent reading, which is about AI and society, what it tells us about regarding healthcare, the healthcare use, which tells us about doctors' use of patient data. It gives some advice, but also it can it can improve some decisions. But very importantly now, you see that we are not relying on machines' decision. Say the doctors see one patient, and then now given the data here, and also IBM Watson sends the answer. So now this patient A will have a diabetes, for sure in next month. But also there can be doctor's decision, doctor's insights, which means human factors. So now machine factor and human factor. So very importantly now, we have to focus on these human factors. So we are not relying on, robots' decision. So when I read those articles and the book, I came up with this. And now one term came up, which is called hybridity. We need to be hybrid in approaching this Gen AI tool use. Do not 100% rely on the results. Still, our human brain and human insights are king. We have better insights and better decisions that can, better shape the result. I'm not saying that we are manipulating, but there are some errors, definitely, and some misinformation. So that's why I also mentioned the collective knowledge. Work together. Human review is the key. So after you use all of them, the book really emphasized human factors. So all the what a machine generated, but we human jump in, see that we have to monitor it, whether it is accurate, whether it is unethical or not, immoral. That kind of information can also be integrated. So hybridity, integration. So technologies are really converging, and even who knows, like in the near future, on one app or on one website, you can do everything about all many Gen AI tools are doing today. So it can happen. But now, are we? So are they absolute truth? No, not at all. Are they like absolute knowledge? Still not. So this will continue. This doesn't mean this. So it's not like the AI tools will replace the whole human jobs. I don't think so. We will generate more human jobs because of AI. Of course, temporarily. I mean, if robots replacing human jobs in maybe cleaning or doing something, it can be just a temporary replacement. But overall, there will be newer jobs created because still the machine AI needs human insights. Without human insights, it's not going to happen. So I want to emphasize here this our students what you need to do when you use this a lot of AI tools. Use them, but also access and approach with critiques, okay, and approach with awareness, okay, and approach with mindfulness, okay. So you just do this, but work, continue that. Do not, accept it without any, ideas. Just review it and check it, and then because that will improve. That'll come up with better outcomes. So yeah, so I would emphasize human factors, human insights.
Excellent. Outside of the courses that we teach about AI, where might people find more information? Are there certain readings or sources of readings or sources of inspiration that you find yourself going back to again and again? This could be a book or a podcast or a journal. What are you most excited to read?
Oh, yeah. And now what I mainly do is I go to my UTSA library, and then I recently read with the keywords AI and society and AI and generative AI and society. There are so many books, so many even recent news articles that come up. So use our UTSA library, and then I also recommend YouTube. And then with all the search, search tool, search terms like recent generative AI tools and those, then that will introduce you a lot. And I'm sure we have some. Do we have some open workshops and open like some learning experiences to students? PACE, public and community engagement learning, PACE. Our UTSA has that, our own center that has a lot of AI courses you can take and to learn. And now one here did it here. I would say gem of this and a combination of this. We UTSA, we are lucky to be on this campus with free access to Coursera. That Coursera has a lot of AI courses. I'm sure that our students can take that Coursera, right? So those,
Yes.
a lot of AI courses there, and learn those and open yourself to those resources. Then definitely you can get. Now, as a researcher now here, what I do is I read a lot of research articles. There are many journals. If you can go one step further, there are many human AI related journals. Here in our social sciences and humanities, a lot of AI, generative AI related to journals. The journals can give you those recent trends and then academic learning ideas, also research evidence. So you can read them as well. So those are what I can recommend.
Great advice. If you could pick one core action or one key takeaway that you want people to do or think about whenever they leave this conversation, what do you want them to have in their minds as that key takeaway or key action?
Yeah. One big takeaway is your storytelling mind. So I want you to build that well-organized storytelling mind that can give you a lot of ideas related. And because storytelling mind means you can create a project, you can design it, then develop, and then finally come up with outcomes. In this AI storytelling mind means you use a lot of tools, which are so many brand new, innovative tools to enhance your storytelling. Here, the storytelling does not just only mean that you are, one simple story. It contains so many things. It's about a problem solving approach and improvement and enhancement for the issues people and group and communities face. Now here, AI tools are playing more and more important roles here to find answers. And now you can definitely do that, create a success and come up with a successful storytelling project and with AI tools. So have that storytelling mindset, then you can be competent, you can be competitive in your future career, and then because it has products, outcomes, then that can become your portfolio, then your employers will love to view them, and then will be happy to hire you. I mean, with that, because they need you. So that's the thing that I want to emphasize here.
Excellent. And where can people find you online?
My go to communication.utsa.edu, our communication department website, and go to faculty, and you can find me. And also College of Liberal and Fine Arts website, COFA. You type in COFA Digital Initiatives, then you can find that digital initiative website that introduces a lot of activities for faculty, research, facilitation in the digital domain, and also student learning. So we also have like I mentioned, that internship program. So consider that internship program. That will be a really valuable experience for you. So feel free to contact me. My email address is seok.kang kang@utsa.edu. So I look forward to talking with you.
And you can also email seok.kang@utsa. If you're interested in a study abroad program. Is that correct?
Oh, correct. Yeah, study abroad. Yeah, we have that study abroad this summer. That will be also a storytelling project about culture and food in South Korea. So that'll occur from June 28th through July 26th. So, but you are registering for COM 4723 Digital Media Production 2, meaning you are earning 3 credit hours. At the same time, you also go to Korea if you sign up for that digital storytelling project. So go to like a studyabroad.utsa.edu website and then search my program by typing in the keyword digital storytelling, and there will be only one result, which is my course. And you click it and then you apply. So yeah, that will be a fascinating experience, and you can get a lot from this experience.
They might be using AI to create those digital stories, right? So it can
Absolutely. I welcome it, and then feel free to do that, and that can be a great experience.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing your insights and wisdom. We appreciate you.
Thank you for this opportunity.